Welcome back, folks, to the action in one of the most exciting single-seater championships of the 2025 motorsport season. EUROCUP-3 is still alive and kicking in the second round of the championship here at the Autódromo Internacional Algarve here in Portugal on the beautiful Portimao countryside. If you've ever been to this circuit before, I guarantee you it is one of the most spectacular and picturesque landscapes in the sport. And we are definitely cooking up an amazing narrative over the course of this season. 4 races and 4 different race winners so far this year. Mattia Colnaghi, Maciej Gladys, Jessica Reszkedo and James Igotzi. Now we have a 5th race in front of us and 2 very different drivers are in the top 2 positions of the starting grid. The front row of the grid is filled by 2 men who have not won a race so far this year. Ernesto Rivera, the rookie driver for Mexico, the Red Bull Junior youngster in his Campos, and Kasper Stucker, the man who's been cruelly denied on 2 occasions over the course of these 4 races. Now he has the chance to put that to bed. And with it being such an open house season between the 4 drivers who have already won races and the others who are scoring good points valiantly, there's only an 8-point lead in the championship at the moment for Mattia Colnaghi in front of the consistent Kasper Stucker. Mattia Colnaghi himself will be starting from 4th position on the grid behind the young man from Saint-Tropez in France, Jules Caranta, the other Red Bull Junior in the Campos who managed to put his car into the top 5. So Ernesto Rivera living up to his promise and the young Mexican pole position. Then Stucker, Caranta and Colnaghi, Valerio Renicella and Jessica Reszkedo continue with their vast experience in a EuroCup-3 car to go into the top 6. Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. manages to put himself back into a competitive position. Number 77 is P7 on the grid, and that is great news for him, alongside the number 7 of Maciej Gladys, the man who took the victory in the 2nd race of the season at the Red Bull Ring. But he's still got a lot of work to do if he wants to get it done this time. And then Enzo Tarvanichkul and our newest race winner, James Igotzi, will round out the top 10. There's plenty of action to come in this one, though. 30 minutes plus 1 lap. It's the 3rd and final race of the weekend in EuroCup-3. We had 2 races yesterday, very unusually for us, because we've normally had only 2 races of a weekend. But yesterday we had a very thrilling 20-minute sprint race, a new format for the 2025 season. But now it's back to normal service as usual. And Ernesto Rivera lines up on pole position with Kasper Stucker. Down on the grid, we have Alex Garcia, the man with the plan and the eyes on the prize. It's going to be an interesting one, this one, Alex, particularly when we've got a front row of the grid filled with drivers who've not yet won this season.
Hi again, Jake. And yes, exactly. I was just thinking that this morning, because if we have a 5th winner this afternoon, that will be a EuroCup-3 record for the most diverse championship start. We had 4 last year and we had 3 a couple of years back. So if we believe in the progression of numbers, 2023 was 3, 2024 was 4. I'm hoping that 2025 is indeed a total of 5 consecutive winners at the very least, because if we have a 5th one here, what's to say? Who's to say that we cannot have a 6th or a 7th even in Paul Ricard? And especially with that first row, which is very exciting, I think, with 2 drivers who haven't won yet this season. I think the odds are stacked in favor of that little bit of a record being broken here. And especially, I think it is exciting to see, because we have a very clear story in that first row. We have current Red Bull supported driver Ernesto Rivera, and we have former Red Bull supported driver Kasper Stucker, who will be absolutely raring to go and wanting to show a certain Austrian former driver and a young driver expert that maybe he was not that right in letting him go.
Now, there's one interesting character that's going to be there in the top 5 of this starting grid, Alex, that I think we need to have a little bit of a word on. He's been under the radar so far this year, but he is 5th in the standings, 5th on the grid, Valerio Renicella. He has not finished a race so far this year lower than P6, and that's something that nobody else in the top 10 of the standings can say. Mr. Consistency keeps him in the fight. Perhaps there's a chance for him to emerge. Even a top 5 finish will shoot him up the table.
Yes, exactly. And with the penalties from yesterday, he ended up inheriting a podium finish. We know that he's quick here. He is, of course, struggling a little bit more with the MP Motorsport lack of performance compared to Campos this weekend, but he definitely has shown that he can be quick when things are going right. The conditions are different, of course, much hotter than yesterday, or notably hotter than yesterday. But he's there, he's not prone to making mistakes, and in a category like this, not making mistakes is very good. That said, he does need to maybe step up his game a little bit if he wants to fight for the title. He has been consistent, but EuroCup-3 is one of those classes where consistency alone will not give you the chance to fight for the title. You need that consistency, and you need a little bit of speed to make sure that you can have those good results sometimes, you know, those race wins, those podiums, which we know that he can get. He took some of them in the Spanish Winter Championship, especially when he was a guest driver, because he did not start the season as the rest of the drivers did. So let's see. This is an opportunity for him. Paul Ricard will be the other opportunity, which I think will be very important for his aspirations in this 2025.
Yeah, it's an interesting point you make, because we've seen over the years that consistency definitely gets you a key to the door. But in order to walk through it and become champion, you need to show that strength, that ability and that discipline. There's a few drivers here who have been sniffing at that, particularly Kolnagi, Gladish, Gaspar Stuka, Jesse Gadasquedo. But for me, this race is going to be a significant one for the Red Bull Juniors. Now that Rivera and Carranza have got themselves to the front, first position and third position on the grid, they need to really push and make this race come to them. They can't just hope that the talent enough is going to get them to it. They've got to use this opportunity and produce a victory. Both of them will be under massive pressure to do so.
Exactly, and as I was saying before, from the optics of Kasper Stuka, the same thing has to be said from their own point of view, from their own side, because if they were to be beaten by a former Red Bull Junior team, we would have a certain Dr. Helmut Marko surely telling them, you know what, you've just been beaten by a former Red Bull driver. You wouldn't like that, would you? So I'm sure that they know the significance of this race, and they need to use all their wits, all their abilities, all their skills to make sure that they stay ahead.
Very good point, Alex. Thank you very much for giving us the info behind the scenes. We are going underway then for the formation lap. We'll catch up with you, Alex, a little bit later on in the day. Thank you. So our grid is a busy one and definitely an exciting one. The top three drivers on the grid have yet to win a race in EuroCup-3 in 2025 in the main body of the season. Ernesto de Vera, a rookie pole for the Campos Racing superstar, alongside Gaspar Stuka, who's come close, but not quite with enough cigar to go for the victory. Gilles Carranza, third position alongside his fellow rookie and current championship leader Mattia Kolnagi, the reigning F4 Spanish champion. Then Valerio Benicella, lining up alongside Jesse Gadasquedo, the race one winner. Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. took a win at the end of last year. He's up alongside Maciej Gladish, who won in his opening weekend at the Red Bull Ring last month. Then Enzo Tavanichgul, ninth on the grid alongside James Igozzi. We need to keep an eye on both men. Tavanichgul went from the back to the points yesterday. James Igozzi managed to take his and Palou Motorsport's first win in the main season. Then Francisco Macedo, who lost the podium yesterday due to a penalty post-race. Garrett Berry, the American driver for Santalog, lining up P12 ahead of Andres Cardenas and Alex Abkasava. Then Kai Dadianani and Oscar Wirtz lining up on the 8th row of the grid, Stan Lambert and Yannis Steven Haydens. Then Luciano Morano and Edu Robinson still going well in his first EuroCup-3 weekend. Then Alessandro Famolado going quicker all the time, the Venezuelan. He outpaced his Brazilian teammate Christian Cantu. Then Isaac Barashi and Theodor Jensen, Lenny Reed and Zach Skular. Then the Allied Racing brothers, Emil Hellberg and Linus Hellberg, ahead of Lorenzo Castillo and Alsu Felman Nito. So 30 minutes plus one lap go onto the timing screen. And this is going to be a very tricky one to predict now. We've had 4 different race winners in 2025. And we are in for a very intriguing race here at the roller coaster, Portimao. So much could be written in this particular script today. But in the next half hour, plus the additional lap, we could end up with an unprecedented record in EuroCup-3. We've had 3 different winners in the first 3 races in 2023. 4 different winners in the first 4 races of 2024. Could we have 5 from 5 in 25? That really would be an astonishing bit of symmetry for EuroCup-3's first 3 years in motorsport. So far, we have had Mattia Kolnagi, Maciej Gladish, Jesse Gadasquedo and James Igozzi take victories. None of those 4 drivers are even on the front row this time. Ernesto de Vera, Gaspar Stuka, then Gilles Carranza, and then Mattia Kolnagi 4th, ahead of Rinicella, Gadasquedo, Fittipaldi, Gladish, Tavanichgul, and James Igozzi. This race is going to be incredibly wide open, but for both Ernesto de Vera, the Red Bull youngster, and Gaspar Stuka, the former Red Bull youngster, this win matters. It will get both their championship campaigns off to a good start and will show to the other why they are the best man for the job for the future. Last couple of cars coming into position then. Those are the Santalok and Sparco Below cars belonging to Lorenzo Castillo and the Brazilian Alcio Feldman Nito, who's going to have a very busy June. Once he gets out of this car this weekend, he'll be flying back home to Brazil to climb into his Porsche Carrera Cup car in Lightning McQueen racing colours as he races alongside his father in Porsche Carrera Cup Brazil. Oh, they're going around for another formation lap. So, an extra formation lap has been called. Well, that is unusual in EuroCup-3. I'm not entirely sure what's happened there, but as the last couple of drivers were getting into position on the grid, an extra formation lap has been called. Now, I'm not entirely sure who it was that triggered that, but they only go for an extra formation lap when there is a specific need to, whether there's a car that's stationary out on the course or whether there's a car that has stalled out on the course. But for whatever reason, we have been given an extra formation lap. That just adds to the drama of the situation. And of course, when we get an extra formation lap, we have 2 minutes taken off the race time. So now we have an extra formation lap, but we have 2 minutes reduction in the race time. It'll now be 28 minutes plus the additional lap. So the EuroCup-3 drivers will go around again, trying to make out if there was a particular reason for the extra formation lap being called. I'm looking through the race control messages, and there is no detail as to why that second formation lap was commanded. So I have a feeling that's going to be an explanation that will be after the fact, that will be after the races when we will get that information. But certainly for the time being, it's a very dramatic start to proceedings for the contenders as they go around for a second time of asking. That means that Rivera's got to reset himself in the pole position. Stucker's got to reset himself in the offense. He wants to try and come straight at him for a crack at the victory. And this is not going to be easy to predict which of the drivers is going to get to that first corner first. So everybody back in the garages, hoping that this is going to be a clean race. No guarantees of that, as we've now had a couple of Spanish F4 races to have safety cars this year, and now EuroCup-3 races to have safety cars this year, because they occurred in both of the races yesterday after we had a squeaky clean run at the Red Bull Ring. Now it's been safety car strewn. This Portimao circuit just lends itself to action and drama. And so all of the competitors will want to put on an excellent showcase right out of the blocks. The moral of the story here, though, has definitely been, while it was a dominant streak for MP last time at Red Bull Ring, Campos have definitely caught up here at Portimao. It'll be fascinating to see which of the two powerhouses is going to be at the front at Le Castellet on the Circuit Paul Ricard. So now Ernesto Rivera and Kasper Stucker make their way to the front row of the grid. Stucker has the best chance yet of taking the lead of the championship here. He's currently sat in second on the grid and looking at 18 points, while his main rival for the championship, Matti Kolnagi, is looking at fourth at the moment on 12 points. That wouldn't be enough to put him into the lead of the championship, but if it stays like this, then Matti Kolnagi would only be 2 points ahead of Kasper Stucker heading to France. So this is going to be a fascinating race to see how things continue to progress. And of course, in France, we will also have the F1 Spanish Championship there as well. So it's going to be a really busy weekend for all of the contenders in the F1 Spanish Championship and the EuroCup-3 Championship as well. Final cars making their way to the grid is the number 23 of Alcio Feldman Nito. Parks his car in position. We get the green flag at the back of the grid. This time we're going to go for a proper start. And for the second time, we're going to have a full feature race in EuroCup-3. Let's race for the third time in Portimao in EuroCup-3. Good start from Rivera and Caranta. Stucker's going to be held up on the way to the first corner. Kolnagi's going to be boxed in, but he might get a chance as round the outside comes Caranta. He has to hold his nerve, though, as Stucker gets back in there. Little bit of hesitation on the brakes. Caranta's going to try and take this right round the outside into second place. Oh, the Red Bull Juniors have got away, and it's Rivera and Caranta. One of the MPs drifting onto the gravel on the exit, but it's Rivera, Caranta, Kolnagi in front of Stucker. He got ahead of his championship rival. So the Red Bull Young Guns have now got Kolnagi giving chase. This is perfect for Kolnagi. Terrible start for Kasper Stucker. Not what he needed at all. And up to fifth has come Maciej Gladish. What a start from the pole. Absolutely terrific from Gladish. That is superb. So Gaduscado now P6 in front of Rinicella. Igotzi up to 8th in front of Fittipaldi and Tarvanitschkel. Then Cardenas, Macedo, Berry, Wirtz, Dianani and Abkasava, who's had a terrible getaway. So Ernesto Rivera and Gil Caranta will now take their rivalry in the Campos team and the Red Bull stable to the race battle as Gladish forces Gaduscado to back down. No, you don't. Gaduscado goes on the grass, and that's enough for Rinicella to squeeze through and off the road further back. That is the number 10 of Lorenzo Castillo, the Santalok drifting off the road. So the starting procedure is under investigation. No surprises for that because we needed another formation lap. But at the end of this lap, it's going to be Rivera, then Caranta, then Colnaghi, Stuka, Gladish, Gaduscado and Rinicella. What a start here in Portimao for the third race of the weekend. So as they go down the main straight, Rivera has the advantage over Caranta and Colnaghi. Stuka, Gladish, then Rinicella, Igotzi and Gaduscado in front of Tarvanitschkel and Fittipaldi. Look at the travel down to the braking zone as that is Garrett Berry from Santalok trying to break into the points ahead of Fittipaldi in the MP if he can. But he's really struggling to make that work as the 77 of Emo Fittipaldi holds his nerve. Well, big stuff at the moment as Enzo Tarvanitschkel is in that mix there as well. The third of the Campos Red Bulls. But certainly Rivera having a very good time of it in the lead of the race and up the inside of Tarvanitschkel. That's going to be a move from Fittipaldi. So Fittipaldi will get his move on the inside of Tarvanitschkel. Lots of drivers choosing not to use the race circuit at all at the hairpin. I think you'll find it's the black stuff with white lines either side, guys. Come on, play the game. Several of them running too deep there at turn 5. There's an incident in turn 11 noted. Now that is between Maciej Gladish and Jesse Gaduscado. So that little run wide from Gaduscado, that is going to be investigated by the officials after the race. There's a yellow flag incident that's being talked about as well, and it's Francisco Macedo. Francisco Macedo, who was robbed of a podium yesterday. He's dropped to the back of the field, and there is the number 2 of Francisco Macedo in the gravel. Well, that is disastrous. The man from Portugal, who was on the podium yesterday, it was taken away from him with a post-race penalty, and now he's out of it. Safety car in what has already been a crazy start to the third and final race of the weekend in EUROCUP-3 here in Portimao. But Rivera leads from Caranta, Colnaghi, Stuka and Gladish, and that is Francisco Macedo. His spin triggers the safety car for the first time. And after no safety cars in Red Bull Ring, sadly, there has been a safety car in all 3 races in the EUROCUP-3 here in Portimao. So, big drama then for the leaders out front. But what a start from Gil Caranta. I really hope we get the chance to see that again because Caranta was absolutely mighty at the start. He knew exactly where to place the car. He didn't get too hungry too early. Picked his moment, waited for his chance around the outside at turn 3 and finished off an audacious move. Absolutely sensational. Now, let's have a look at it. So this is the start. Look at Caranta, the second Red Bull. Look at the second Red Bull car in the train. He goes to the left side of Stuka. Look, he thinks he's got this move done. He has to bail out of it because there's contact potential with Rivera. So Stuka's back in front of him, but then Caranta commits round the outside, keeps the car present, draws level with his teammate, slots back in. That's enough for Colnaghi to slot in front of Stuka. And look at Gladish. He's only about 4 cars back at this stage. Then he dives in and he finishes the move. Excellent work. But Gil Caranta, what a start from the youngster from Saint-Tropez in France. There's the move between Gladish and Gaduscado. That's going to be investigated. And I have to say, that's a tricky one because Gladish will say, well, look, I'm a racing driver. I'm allowed to get up the inside line. I'm allowed to take my move and I'm allowed to shut the door. There was no contact between Gladish and Gaduscado. And I've seen many a move like that get away without incident. Now we're going to see what happened to Lorenzo Castillo, are we? Oh no, that's already happened to Francisco Macedo. So Macedo's already gone into the gravel. We didn't really see what happened to him. So we're under safety car as a result of the spin for Francisco Macedo. Castillo was involved in an incident, I should point out, for Santalok, but he has recovered, and so he is still going. But what a fantastic start to this race, particularly from Gil Caranta and Maciej Gladish. They really have transformed the state of their races as a result of where they've been able to position the cars in the opening couple of laps. So very good work so far from both men as the recovery crew have already reached Francisco Macedo. What a miserable way to finish his weekend. Having had a podium yesterday, then to have it taken off him with a post-race penalty, and then to end up in the gravel. He'll be quite happy to get back home. It'll be a nice drive for him rather than a flight this time, because he is obviously a Portuguese domicile. So he will make his way back home and then, of course, prepare for the next round of the championship in 2 weeks' time at Paul Ricard. And there is Thomas Strauven's car, the winning car in F4 Spanish Championship, being wheeled back to the pits as someone else comes into the pits. So that's why we were looking at it. You might have been thinking, why are we looking at an F4 Spanish Championship car? We're not. We're looking at Lorenzo Castillo making his way down pit lane for Santalok. And that is not what he was hoping for. He's already had a spin. Now they've obviously decided, look, we may as well. We're at the back of the grid anyway. So let's come back into the pits. Let's double check everything. Let's make sure everything is as it should be. And then we'll go back out into the race and give it another go. So Rivera and Carranza, the two Campos Red Bull Juniors, ahead of Kolnagi, Stuka and Gladish. Kolnagi and Gladish were the winners at the Red Bull Ring, of course. Kadashkeda and Agotzi have been the winners this weekend. They are 7th and 8th now. So there is a very good chance of making it 5 out of 5. But the two youngsters in their Red Bulls have got to deal with another rookie driver, and that is Mattia Kolnagi, who is, of course, the championship leader by 8 points in this particular race. And he would really dearly love to extend that gap over Kasper Stuka and Maciej Gladish, who are behind him on the road. Mind you, though, after Gladish failed to score yesterday, he's ended up down to 6th in the championship behind Rivera, Cadasquedo and Renicella. So Rivera taking the win this time would put him right in the hunt for the championship. He's only 4 points behind Kasper Stuka in the championship fight, and he's only 12 points behind Mattia Kolnagi. So if I do my math very quickly, if Ernesto Rivera wins this race, he becomes the championship leader. So that's how important it is for the Mexican rookie to finish this job. So the rookie driver, Ernesto Rivera, could become the 5th different winner from 5 races. And if he does so, if it stays like this, with Kolnagi in 3rd and Stuka in 4th, then Ernesto Rivera would become the championship leader here in Portimao as we head to Paul Ricard. And that just tells us how exciting a championship this is in 2025, with 5 different potential winners from the first 5 races. We had 3 from 3 in 23, we had 4 from 4 in 24, we could well get 5 from 5 in 25, and one of them is likely to be, well, that person is likely to be driving a Campos racing car with Red Bull insignia all over it. Ernesto Rivera of Mexico leads Jules Carranza of France, the 2 youngsters in the Red Bull Academy. Mattia Kolnagi ahead of Kasper Stuka and Maciej Gladish from Valerio Renicella, Jesse Cadasquedo, James Agotzi, Enzo Tarvanichkul, and the final point is currently being taken by Garrett Berry ahead of Emo Fittipaldi, then Oscar Wirtz, Andres Cardenas, Alex Abkasava, Yannis Steven Haydens, Luciano Morano and Preston Lambert, then Theodor Jensen, Isaac Barashi, Lenny Reed and Zach Scular, then Alessandro Famolaro, Edu Robinson, Christian Cantu, Elsu Feldman, Emil Helberg, Linus Helberg, Kai Dadianani and Lorenzo Castillo. The latter 2 have had incidents that have dropped them to the back of the field behind the Helberg brothers. This restart is going to be a tough one for Ernesto Rivera. Mind you, he's had an F4 Spanish Championship win, and he was very strong indeed in the Formula Regional Middle East Championship out in the United Arab Emirates and in Qatar at the start of this season. So he knows how to deal with pressure. But they cited EUROCUP-3 as the best place for him to learn in 2025, and they might be right, because this is turning into a potential championship attack for Ernesto Rivera. If he wins this race, he goes into the lead of the championship by just a handful of points. So this is exactly what Rivera needs to do to fulfill that promise and fulfill the faith that the Red Bull fraternity have placed on him in 2025. So as we wait for all of the officials to be back in position. Now, we are told why there was their extra formation lap. So it's a very bizarre reason for it. But the extra formation lap was given, safety car in this lap, by the way, but the extra formation lap was given due to a blower on track at turn 1. So a very interesting situation. There's an unsafe release under investigation for that. Not entirely sure what the full story is for that. Maybe Alex Garcia and the team can try and figure out what they actually mean by that. But apparently there was a blower on track at turn 1, and that's why we had the extra formation lap earlier on. And Ernesto Rivera now backs up the pack. It's up to him when we restart this race now. He becomes the safety car, essentially. But Jules Caranta will want to follow him through. That's a good start from Rivera. Look at that, daylight between himself and Jules Caranta. And this is disastrous for Caranta because Colnaghi is all over him as they go up the crest and down the straight over the line. It's green, 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 green as we go back to racing in the third and final race of the weekend in EUROCUP-3 at Portimao. And Colnaghi is pressuring Caranta as Gladish is already working his way forward to try and pressure Stuka. They go up towards turn 1. No move yet from Colnaghi, but you do get the sense that he's not going to wait around with Caranta. Meanwhile, Gladish has got pressure from Carrasquedo and Rinicella. So Caranta working to Colnaghi's through and off onto the grass. There's a missing front wing. Someone's gone off there in the top 5. Now, I can't tell whether that was Stuka or whether that was Gladish. Trying to see. It looks like it's going to be Gladish in trouble. Side by side, Caranta and Colnaghi is up the inside. There goes Stuka, 3 wide on the exit. And it's going to be an absolute badinage between them. And it's Colnaghi that comes through in second place. Mattia Colnaghi comes through to lead the charge. Fantastic. Mattia Colnaghi determined as Stuka now gets the move on Caranta. So Kacper Stuka up in a third place. Great run there from the pole to get into third position. Now, we need to try and figure out whose front wing it was that went missing, because it certainly looks to me as though there was somebody off the road there. There is debris on track at turn 4, but I couldn't see whose front wing was missing. It's Carrasquedo's. Jesse Carrasquedo is the one with a missing front wing. So the Mexican will not be winning again this weekend. What a shame for Jesse Carrasquedo after such a great race yesterday in the opening encounter. Now he's going to have to limp back to the pits and retirement, essentially. He'll get going again, but any chance of points have now been well and royally scuppered. But here comes Jules Caranta. He's not done yet. He wants revenge from Kacper Stuka's move, and Gladish is going to have pressure from Valerio Rinicella and the slipstream. Rivera is loving this, by the way, up against the pit wall. Caranta really is wrestling with Stuka. He hasn't got the space to make it work. He goes right round the outside of him. Oh, Caranta, take a bow, mon brave. That was masterful from Jules Caranta. Up against the pit wall. Break later. Thank you, Kacper. Wham, bam, thank you, and adios, amigo. Wow. Round the outside. Just stunning from Jules Caranta. Just when you think the move is over, he had other ideas. Now Maciej Gladish is going to go wheel to wheel with the man who's taken him on and beaten him in a fair fight. Rinicella, they're both going to drift off the road. So Gladish keeps his foot in. On the far side, the pole is going to try and get the move up the hill. Can Gladish hold this on the inside of Rinicella? We're going to need to pan back. No, he has to give best. That was a good decision from Gladish. He could have risked that, but you don't want to risk too many points in this early part. Well, the marshals have gone and collected Jesse Carrasquedo's front wing off the circuit. Well done, guys. Excellent performance from the marshals. They waited till the whole pack went through, and now they've been able to clear it. So Rivera leads by Mattia Colnaghi in second. Now, he's going to gain 7 points on him. So Mattia Colnaghi has gone up from 4th place to 2nd, and that means that Colnaghi will stay in the lead of the championship then, because he's currently 12 points ahead of Ernesto Rivera, and he'll only gain 7 points on Colnaghi now, because they're going to finish 1 and 2. So that means that, as it stands, Colnaghi will remain the championship leader heading to Port Ricard. But Ernesto Rivera is doing a grand job here. Back down the straight we go again. Waiting for another big duel, and we might get one. Here comes Maciej Gladish, sizing up the situation again here on Valerio Rinicella. And that's the other Red Bull youngster behind them. That's Enzo Tarnvanichkul, who's worked his way up to 7th place. He's kept his foot in! Can he finish this off? Oh my goodness. Tarnvanichkul drove masterfully yesterday after stalling in the sprint race to go from the back of the pack, essentially, to find his way back into the points. And I genuinely thought he was going to carry the momentum there round the outside of Gladish. He certainly will over the crest, and he's going to beat it to the braking zone. But can Gladish turn in earlier? Oh, there's not a lot Tarnvanichkul can do about that. They both drift off the road. And you sense that the young Thai is getting agitated here behind Maciej Gladish. Meanwhile, Mattia Colnaghi versus Jesse Carrasquedo is being investigated by the officials. Mattia Colnaghi versus the 87, I think it is, of Kai Darianani. Well, Kai Darianani is an interesting one. I don't think they mean the 87. I think they mean the 27 of Jesse Kadishkado. Into the pits, meanwhile, has come Lenny Reed, yet again for SPA-FRANCORCHAMPS. So, bitter disappointment for the German as he climbs out of his car and retires. Jesse Kadishkado has rejoined at the back, of course. But it looks to me as though the incident between Kadishkado and Kolnagi is going to be investigated. If Kolnagi gets a penalty, then Rivera will become the championship leader if he stays in the lead after all. This race has so many twists and turns. It's like a 9th Harry Potter film. Incredible. So Rivera, Kolnagi, Caranta, Stuka, Rinicello and Gladish. Dominichkal, Igozzi, Berry and Fittipaldi is the top 10. So plenty of points to be scored. But there's still a lot of debate as to who's going to be scoring them and in what position they're going to end up at the end of it all. James Igozzi is getting a little bit of pressure now from the American Garrett Berry. The Santalok driver's closing in, and Emo Fittipaldi Jr. is right there in the hunt in P10. So a lot still to do, a lot still to be claimed as Gladish is still attacking Rinicello. They come over the top of the crest. And you can see for yourself that Dominichkal not as close as he was. But this duel for 8th place is still getting a little bit feisty as... snaking under brakes there, Garrett Berry. The American not doing himself any favours. What are we going to see a replay of? Is this going to be the battle between Caranta? Look at this move again. Caranta's up against the pit wall, but he changes his mind last minute. Look at this. Stuka covers to defend. Caranta just drives right round him. Unbelievable. That is the overtake of the season. So far, of course. But that's going to take some beating, isn't it? Gilles Caranta, when he thought he had finished it off, and then we get this little duel between Rinicello and Gladish, and both drivers drift off the road with a little bit of a love tap. But Gladish kept his foot in until they got to the top of the crest, and then he decided, you know what? I'm not sure if I got that move done correctly or not. So I'm not going to even chance the penalty. I'm going to let him go. But there is your race leader, Ernesto Rivera, in front of Mattia Kolnagi in second, who is being investigated for his incident with Jesse Kadishkado that put the Mexican into the pits and out of contention. So if Kolnagi does get a post-race penalty for that, then the man in the lead in the Red Bull colours of the Campos Racing team, Ernesto Rivera, is about to take the lead of the championship. Even if he doesn't, it's still going to be 5 wins out of 5 for 5 different drivers. Gilles Caranta, very much living up to his hype, the young Frenchman. Definitely following in the footsteps of the likes of Alain Prost and Jean Alesi in terms of his prowess in junior single-seater racing. And of course, the likes of Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly, who went straight to Formula One. Gilles Caranta looking like the next big French presence. I think it's basically going to be a race between him and the other fast Frenchman at this level, Evan Gilter, as to which Frenchman gets to Formula One first. Following, of course, in the recent wheel tracks of Isaac Hajar, who's also been in the Red Bull fold and is still there, of course, racing for Racing Bulls in Formula One. But Gilles Caranta doing a great job here against Kasper Stuka. Really loving life in 3rd position and looking good for his first overall podium. Interestingly enough, the podium finish is going to be identical in both the rookie and the overall rankings at this rate. And is that another retirement, or is that the same one? I think that is Lenny Reed still being assisted by his mechanics there. But the Sparco below is being worked on. And Lenny Reed is no longer in the car, I don't think. Or is he still in the car, actually? No, he is still in the car. So clearly they've decided, well, look, if we can get this fixed, it'll be 3 laps down. But look, he's paid the same amount of money as anybody else to go racing. So let's get out there. Let's go and do some racing. So Lenny Reed has clearly decided, look, I may as well use this as a test session now to prepare for Paul Ricard. But an excellent run so far, with 8 minutes to go in EuroCup-3 in the 3rd and final race of the weekend in Portimao. The first time we've had 3 races in a weekend, because we had our unique sprint race yesterday, 20 minutes plus 1 lap rather than 30 minutes plus 1 lap. 10 minutes of those, of course, though, were sat behind the safety car. But it was James Igozzi that came through to become the 4th different winner this year in the first 4 races of the year, to match the record that we had from 2024. And we're hoping it's going to continue into 2025. That would be an amazing stat, to be fair, because last year, in the first 4 races of the year, we had 4 completely different winners. Owen Tagavelu, Brito Del Pino, and then Christian Ho after Javier Sagrera. So Segreira, Tangavelu, Cabanelas, and Christian Ho were the Javier Segreira, Owen Tangavelu, Bruno Del Pino, and Christian Ho were the first 4 winners of last season and in the first 4 races of the year. So now we're going to get to see if it's going to be a different 4. And of course, in the opening season of Eurocup 3 in 2023, we had 3 different winners there as well. Francesco Braschi, Mari Boya, and Esteban Masson. So who's going to get the job done in 2025? Can we have 5 from 5 in 25? That really would be spectacular. And if you're looking at Ernesto Rivera out in front and thinking it's a done deal, it isn't quite, because Mattia Colnaghi is trying to match him for pace. But at the moment, Ernesto Rivera is quicker than Colnaghi in all 3 sectors. He is able to gap the Italian by just enough to stay comfortable. If you thought that the rookie jitters would get to him, well, he's got 2 rookies right on his tail. And Rivera is here to prove to anybody who will watch that he is just as capable a driver. We got a great little squabble coming down the main straight now as well. This is Barashi, Dadianani, and Skula. Dadianani trying to get back up the inside line. Oh, he goes around the outside in the end of Isaac Barashi to finish off the move. So great racecraft here from Kai Dadianani to get himself back into contention. The 87 ahead of Barashi, Skula, Famularo, Castillo, Robinson, and Christian Cantu. Well, there is an incident now being noted between the 26 and the 87. That is Barashi and Darianani on the last lap by the look of it. So that is already being investigated. But now we are waiting to see our 5th different winner from 5 races to see if it really can be done. Ernesto Rivera leads. Mattia Colnaghi is 2nd. Then Gilles Caranta in 3rd. The battle further back is still a very intense one. Trying to get up the inside line for a move. That is a big lunge on the inside there from Castillo to dive in on Zach Skula. It looks like he finished that one up over the top of the crest. So Castillo getting the move there on Zach Skula, the Kiwi, who is the vice champion of the Formula Regional Oceania. Lost that title to Arvid Lindblad, of all people, who is already being considered as a potential race driver in Formula 1 if Max Verstappen were to get a penalty next time out in his Grand Prix. So it just shows you these youngsters keep pushing, keep driving, keep delivering the results, because you never know when your call up the grade is going to continue. And of course, Eurocup 3, the highest level of single-seaters in these Formula Regional style cars. It is the same chassis as Formula Regional with a slightly different aero kit. So Eurocup 3, the only way up from here is the Formula 1 paddock. And several drivers have gone from here to the Formula 1 paddock, of course. Last year, the Eurocup 3 champion was Christian Ho. This year, he's racing for Singapore in FIA Formula 3. So the only way to go from here is to end up in the Formula 1 paddock if you're a young driver trying to make progress. This man, Ernesto Rivera, is the latest in a long list of Red Bull Juniors to really wow the crowds and put on the show. He is now pulled to 3.3 seconds clear of Mattia Colnaghi. That is incredible from the rookie driver, Ernesto Rivera, who is really starting to come into his own now. He is the fastest driver in the entire race in Sector 3. Interestingly, the fastest driver in Sectors 1 and 2 is Jesse Cadasquedo, clearly driving angry down at the back of the field. He has been able to go faster than most. He actually does have the fastest lap of the entire race, a 1 minute 40.795. But the fastest rookie is this man, Ernesto Rivera. Look at the gap he's pulled on Mattia Colnaghi with 3 minutes to go plus the additional lap. That means, by my math, we have 3 laps of this race to go, unless there's a safety car that we will finish under, in which case that could drop to just 2. But certainly now for Mattia Colnaghi, this is what he needed to do. We've said this time and time again, you don't have to win every race, but it is very important what you do when you don't win compared to what you do when you do. And if you're not going to win the race, you need to maximize the points you score. Colnaghi is going to take 18 from this race, ahead of Stucker, who will finish on 12, and ahead of Gladish, who will finish on 8. And that means that Mattia Colnaghi will remain the championship leader heading to Paul Ricard. The second safety car procedure was under investigation. We have been told that no further action will be taken on that investigation. So just a whisker over 2 minutes left of this race, and Rivera has definitely taken command of it, but there's a problem for Caranta. He's got a feisty Kasper Stucker bearing down on him now for third position. And this is where Stucker's experience could really come to fruition. But he does not want to be beaten by not just one Red Bull, but two Red Bull Juniors when he used to be in the Red Bull stable last year. So Kasper Stucker determined to bounce back and put one over on at least one of the Red Bull Juniors. He certainly doesn't want to be beaten by two of them as they come off the turn and across the finish line this time by. And Ernesto Rivera is going into the penultimate lap of the third and final race of the weekend here in EuroCup-3. And after seeing the victory for 4 different drivers in the first 4 races, the first race won by Mattia Kolnagi, the second at Red Bull Ring won by Maciej Gladisz. Then the races yesterday won by Jesse Kadeszkado in race 1, and the first ever EuroCup-3 sprint race in the main season won by James Igotzi and Palou Motorsport. Now we are just over a lap and a half away from finding out if we are going to make it 5 winners from 5 different races. Look at Ernesto Rivera. He is unchallengeable in this race. Meanwhile, Gilles Caranta is very challengeable as Kasper Stucker's going to go for it. Late lunge down the hill. Stucker gets the move, but Caranta comes straight back at him. So now the battle for third position is raging between Gilles Caranta of France and Kasper Stucker of Poland. Stucker's going to try his luck here. Great racing drivers, both of these men. Gilles Caranta and Kasper Stucker, plenty of great talent underneath their right foot. But who wants third position more? Stucker decided to go for the long haul. Caranta saw it coming and went, right, that's fine. You take the inside apex. I'll go slow in, fast out and get you back on the exit. Now Caranta drifts wide. Stucker's got momentum, but will he have track space? Caranta's going to make him go the long way round. So Gilles Caranta responds to it well. Time is running down. 3, 2, 1. We're out of time. It's a race to the line for Ernesto Rivera, and then he'll have just 1 lap left of the Portimao circuit this weekend in EuroCup-3. Second for Kolnagi. He'll keep the lead of the championship, but who will get third place? Will it be Caranta for the Red Bull Junior Campos Racing operation, or will it be the former Red Bull Junior Kasper Stucker who takes it from him? Rinicella is keeping Maciej Gladisz at bay. 7th is Tarvanichkul, 8th is Igotzi, 9th is Berry, 10th is Fittipaldi. Last lap, here goes Stucker, right round the outside of Caranta. Caranta trying to hold it, but Stucker drifts across and holds the place. Now Caranta's going to come back at him into the next apex. No, you don't. Kasper Stucker's got him. Drifts wide, Caranta comes back at him on the exit, through the left-hander. Up over the top of the crest. Who's going to get there first? It's Caranta. Oh my goodness, Caranta steals it back from Kasper Stucker. Is this not one of the best race circuits in Europe? Portimao always delivers. No matter whether it's EuroCup-3, F4 Spanish or Formula 1, get Formula 1 back to Portimao immediately because this place just delivers. So fantastic stuff then, as Caranta holds on for another bit longer. But he's run out of time to go for second place man Mattia Kolnagi, who in turn has run out of time to go after our race winner. Surely now just a few more corners for the Mexican in the lead of the race. And after the fantastic performances so far we've had this year from Mattia Kolnagi, from Maciej Gladisz, from Jesse Kadeszkado, and from James Igotzi, now we're going to break a record in EuroCup-3. We had 3 different winners in 2023, 4 different winners at the start of 2024, and now we're going to have 5 from 5 in 25. Ernesto Rivera wins the final race of the weekend in Portimao. Fantastic for the Mexican rookie in the Red Bull colours for Campos Racing. Mattia Kolnagi second. Caranta is third. And it looks as though there is a penalty going the way of a couple of drivers because Tarvanichkul has been promoted to 5th position ahead of Rinicella and Gladisz. So Tarvanichkul is brought up to 5th position. Rinicella P6, Gladisz P7. But of course, we don't know yet if that is going to be the final order because we still have penalties potentially on the way for other incidents that are going to be investigated. Kolnagi's incident earlier in the race with Carrasquedo is under investigation, and it will be investigated after the race. So, for the moment, Kolnagi is second, but we don't know if that's going to remain. One thing we do know is going to remain is that Ernesto Rivera, the Mexican, is going to be the 5th different race winner from the first 5 races of 2025. Can you believe it? Eurocup 3, such a competitive single-seater championship. We had 3 from 3 in 23, 4 from 4 in 24, and now 5 different winners from the first 5 races in 2025. Absolutely incredible stats. Well, if Kolnagi keeps second place, he'll be the championship leader heading to Paul Ricard. If he gets a penalty, it'll be Ernesto Rivera that takes the lead of the championship. And look at the teammates. Rivera and Caranta, Campos Racing teammates for the Red Bull Junior colours, were cruising alongside each other. It's always tough when you're all very, very competitive and eager to get to the top. They're all as hungry as each other, of course. But you've got to be a winner if you want to stay in the Red Bull stable. And Ernesto Rivera has won at exactly the right time. 5 races into the season, and he takes a win for Campos in the Red Bull colours. Very important. He now gets his championship attack for 2025 right on target. And after victories for Kolnagi, Gladish, Carrasquedo and Egozzi, Rivera joins the winner's circle. And that is fantastic news. He's a lovely, lovely young man, is Ernesto Rivera. Not an ounce of arrogance to him. Just a very passionate and very disciplined young racing driver. Very friendly, very amiable, works well with his engineers. And this is a deserved victory for the young Mexican. Excellent to see him do such a great job. We got to be good friends during his time in the Middle East at the beginning of the year. And I had a feeling then that he was only going to get better as 2025 unraveled. Bueno Ernesto is the message that his Mexican fans write down for him on the social media on YouTube. But what a sensational drive from Ernesto Rivera. A great run from Kolnagi, really aggressive, but exactly what he needed to do to produce second place. And Gilles Caranta, third position. Coming of age moment for the Frenchman too. And the rookie podium is exactly the same as the overall podium, at least for now. If Kolnagi were to get a penalty, then it would be a Campos Racing rookie eclipse, with Enzo Tarmanichkul, 4th in rookie, waiting in the wings. But for now, it's 5 from 5. The Red Bull youngster. Bueno. Ernesto Rivera. Fantastic. Absolutely extraordinary. There is his father. What a moment. Always joyous when a driver comes of age in a championship like Eurocup 3, especially when everybody in this paddock knows there's only one step higher, and that is the Formula One weekend. What an opportunity for Ernesto Rivera as he now takes a big leap into a Eurocup 3 title winning mode. Well, the Campos Racing team really found their pace. Look at that as well from Ernesto and Gilles Caranta. Rivals, teammates, but there's a lot of respect, and that's exactly as it should be. Gilles Caranta looks frustrated in third position, and I don't really blame him. But he certainly showed the young man from Saint-Tropez that there's plenty more to come from him in 2025 as well. There's a lot more coming for Gilles Caranta in 2025, I guarantee it. What a great result for Gilles Caranta and for Ernesto Rivera, his teammate. The Red Bull Juniors are coming in Eurocup 3. Hang on to your hats, folks. It's going to be a great title battle, and Ernesto Rivera is right at the heart of it. A very exciting championship now as we head to Paul Ricard for the 3rd weekend of the championship in Eurocup 3, with 5 different men now having crossed the line first in 2025. Mattia Kolnagi, Maciej Gladish, Jesse Carrasquedo, James Egozzi, and now this man, Ernesto Rivera. There is Gilles Caranta out of his car, 3rd position. He can be happy with that. The first podium is always an important one. But I've got a feeling that the Frenchman felt, maybe I could have won that one. Maybe I could have got a second at the very least. But he can be happy for the moment. Third position as he heads to his home circuit. Meanwhile, though, we've got 5 from 5. Alex Garcia is with Ernesto Rivera.
5 races, 5 winners, Ernesto Rivera. That's the first for you. How important was that one?
Yeah, it was a mega race. The pace was very strong since the start of the weekend. I didn't put it all together in qualifying, but in the race we showed our pace.
And of course, as a rookie this season, now you can feel that you can fight for everything. What's the expectation for next time out in Paul Ricard? Because considering that the rest of your rivals are also rookies, is that a title in the goal for this 2025?
Of course, the goal is to win the championship and to win as many races as possible. Yeah, we have to keep working and keep scoring points.
And also, it shows a good work that you're doing within the team. You have a teammate from Red Bull stable also in the podium, and the whole Campos and Griffin Core squads. You've done a great job together this weekend. How much they can owe that to a teamwork that you're part of?
Yeah, the team is working really hard. I'm also pushing myself quite hard, and you see with the hard work, the results will come.
All right, Ernesto, thank you very much. Time to enjoy and celebrate it well.
Thank you.
5 from 5 here in Portimao in the EUROCUP-3 2025 season. That is certainly something. It's a great start from the season that we've seen so far. And as we said before the race started, we've seen 5. Now it's time to see if we have maybe a 6th or maybe even a 7th in Paul Ricard. Not too shabby.
There's certainly a few candidates for it now, isn't there, Alex? We can only look at the likes of Gilles Carranza, Kasper Stuka. It's going to be really exciting to see how it all continues on. But I really think we've got plenty to talk about now, heading to the next event at Paul Ricard.
Exactly. As we look at the next event, I think that there's still at least 2 or 3 drivers who could perfectly be race winners here. Of course, there's maybe not so many more, but the ones that haven't won yet certainly could do it. So I'm thinking of Kasper Stuka, I'm thinking of Valerio Rinicella, I'm thinking of quite a few drivers that could still pose a threat to these 5 race winners. So why not? We could have a couple more, and who knows, maybe if things change a little bit more next time around in Paul Ricard, maybe we can look at an even bigger record-breaking start from this 2025. But so far, I think the best thing, Jake, is that this season has been super exciting. The rookie crop is amazing, and that only bodes well for the rest of the season.
It certainly does. I think we've got a really entertaining EuroCup-3 championship fight heading to Paul Ricard, and that will be the second weekend of the season where we have got a sprint race added to it. So it will be a very exciting one. Alex, gracias, mi amigo. Thank you very much indeed for being with us for the second weekend of EuroCup-3. And of course, that means that we have to move on. We've still got the F4 Spanish Championship to conclude here at Portimao. If you want to join us for that, then please do so. All of the podium footage and updates will be on the EuroCup-3 social media channels. Of course, that means now we've only got 2 weeks now until the next round of the championship at Paul Ricard. Could we really get a 6th different race winner from 6 races? You'll have to tune in to find out. From Jake Sanson, from Alex Garcia and the whole team, thank you so much for being with us here at the Autodromo Internacional Algarve. It was guaranteed to give us action, and it certainly did. We'll see you à la France.